Okay, so we have the mower in the shop. If you didn't see the last video, I was talking about the fact that you can start it up really easily. It runs, but the minute you try to raise the throttle all the way up so you can engage PTO to turn the blades on, it starts choking and it starts struggling and it drops down to a lower idle, seemingly automatically. I'm assuming that probably has some part to do with the electronic fuel injection. I have a bag full of parts right here. I'm going to try to fix this on my own. I'm going to also replace some normal maintenance items while I'm doing it at the same time, but I think I've narrowed it down to what the problem may be. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so I did some research, dug in to figure out what could cause the symptoms that we're getting, and really the main thing that I located was all fuel related. So my theory is that the low pressure fuel pump, which feeds the high pressure fuel pump, has gone defective or has some type of a problem. It's kind of crazy considering the relatively low hours that we have on here, basically 55.9 hours, considering the Toro has over 208 hours and we haven't had any problems like this. But the first step is going to be to locate where the low pressure fuel pump is so I can remove it, and then we're going to replace it with one that I picked up at the John Deere dealership, which is also a SCAG dealership. So I have the pump right here. Supposedly it's the same type, and it's a vacuum pump, which means that it's connected to the engine, and it actually uses the crankcase pressure to open and close this pump, which pulls the fuel into the high pressure fuel pump and allows the motor to run. I'm not super familiar with the electronic fuel injection versions of these engines. If it was carbureted, it'd be a lot easier for me to work on. But yeah, I don't really know much about these other than the fact that, again, all my research kind of points to the fact that the low pressure pump has had a problem. So we're going to do that. I recently changed the oil already. I want to change the hydraulic fluid, which that doesn't seem to be a problem right now, but I'm going to go ahead and change the filters as well and see if I can get this thing up and running again. Okay, so we have the parts for today's project laid out right here. We have the inner filter, the outer filter, both Kawasaki brand. We have the John Deere branded, this is the low pressure fuel pump, which apparently is exactly the same as the Kawasaki and everything else. We also have the Kawasaki fuel filter. I can put links to this in the description. It was kind of a pain to find a video that pointed out a problem similar and the exact fix. Everyone kind of had a different type of issue and they were trying to address it, even though the fix was relatively similar. So if you have a SCAG, I don't know if this is going to be the same for carbureted versions, but if you have the electronic fuel injected motor, this one happens to be the FX1000, the 999cc 38.5 horsepower gas motor. But if you have that and you're experiencing issues that I'm talking about where it just doesn't seem as if it's getting enough fuel and it's wanting to bog down, and maybe the fuel injection system is kind of compensating for that, it's very likely your low pressure fuel pump. Now, I don't know if that's the actual problem. This is just me troubleshooting, but again, I'm kind of swapping things out, including the fuel filter, which is right there, and then the two filters that are right here. So these are the old filters and then the new filters. The inner filter actually looks like it's brand new. I mean, I don't see really any dirt or anything on here. So the outer filter has obviously been doing a really good job of keeping the inner filter clean. And I blow this filter out just about every time I mow the grass. I basically take my leaf blower, go out there, I blow inside of it, and you just see all this puff of dust and stuff coming off of it. But yeah, I'm going to locate the low pressure fuel pump and then we'll go from there. You know, sometimes I feel like a nitwit because I'm looking right at something and I'm searching all around. It happens to be right in front of my face. So that is a low pressure fuel pump right there, just sitting right in front of me. But I guess because it wasn't surface mounted to anything, it kind of confused me. But it looks as if it's going to be two 10mm bolts, I'm assuming. And then I'll back those off and I'll have access to all of the hoses. And it should be as simple as simply plugging them back in. So let's see what happens. Before we get to that, this is the actual part. This one is made by Mikuni, and the model number on this one's made in Japan, so that's a good thing, versus some places it could be made. And the part number on this is, at least the John Deere part number on this, is the UC34375, which is very similar again to what's on there. It actually looks identical if you want to see how this fits. Let's see here, just like that. So yeah, pretty much the same thing, and once we get that one off, I'll compare them side by side. Yep, I was right, it is 10 millimeter, and if you guys don't recall, I made a video talking about the importance of the 10 millimeter socket. Let me show you something. So on Amazon, I bought this kit, 12 sockets that have a magnetic mount to them, and they're all 10 millimeter. And they come in 3/8 drive as well as 1/4 inch drive, which is super cool and super handy. All right, back at the SCAG. That was easy. Okay, so I'm going to remove one at a time, and I'm going to replace it onto the new one. Might lose a little bit of fuel, hopefully not, but we'll see. Okay. So that was all of a 5-minute repair, and what also makes me feel better is to know that this is actually the same brand. So this is a Mikuni, and it probably has the same part number. It looks a little different, but it looks pretty much the same. And it mounts right where the old one mounted, no problems at all. And it actually is relieving, because when I looked this up and tried to Google search it, the one that I found on Google had 4 additional mounting points on it and a bunch of screws going into it, even though the body looked the same. So the one that they provided me at the dealership, again, even though it's for John Deere, it's essentially the same part. It looks almost identical to the one that I removed, which is always a good feeling. Okay, next step, we are going to replace the fuel filter, which is right here. This one might leak a little bit more fuel out when we do this, hopefully not. But we will put the inlet side in first. Quarter-inch piping or tubing, so it's a pretty common fuel filter. And there's all sorts of different brands, so you don't have to specifically get the Kawasaki brand. There we go. And then this one is incoming that way, so we want to put this the same direction. There's a little arrow on here for you. Okay. New one goes on a lot easier. But we have at least the low pressure fuel filter, which feeds the low pressure fuel pump, replaced. Now we're just going to throw the new air filters in. We'll try to start it up and see how it works. Okay, so we have both air filters unbagged. And then this one will slide in right here in the center. And then this one will slide over it. Then we just have to put our filter cap back on. Make sure that's nice and clean in there, which it is. And you know what? They have this whole puffer thing where you're able to like get any large debris out of there. No matter how much dust I've ever collected, I never get a lot of stuff to come out of there. Let me know if you have the same situation with yours, because a lot of commercial mowers have this. Even my excavator has this, and you know, when they sold it to me, they're like, yeah, you just go this occasionally and it's going to knock anything out. But the reality is like less than hardly anything comes out of there anytime I've ever done that. But it's always good to have something like that if they believe it can help you from a precautionary perspective. Okay, we have the air filter on, we have the low pressure fuel pump replaced, and the low pressure fuel filter. That should be it. So hopefully the mower idles properly. I can idle it all the way up and get my PTO engaged. Let's check it out. Okay, so we are on the mower. Start it up. Gonna let some fuel go through the system first. Doing the same thing. Okay, so we have it parked again, but still doing the same thing, idling up and down. Well, that is super discouraging. So I spent $100 on all of that stuff. The filters were like $25 each, so 50 bucks there. The fuel filter was like, I think $12, and the fuel pump was like $38 just because it's in a John Deere box, even though it's not even a John Deere product. That said, very disappointed. Still trying to figure out what's wrong with the mower. If you guys have any ideas, you know, it might be a good place to start doing what I did. Just so you know, you can buy all of these parts off of Amazon for about half the price. And you probably could have spent a total of 50 bucks, but I wanted to go the route that I know a lot of people would expect me to go, and that's to get like the brand parts from Kawasaki, from I guess John Deere, and ended up being the exact same OEM part that was on here, as well as doing a few other preventative things like replacing the fuel filter also, which was also a Kawasaki part. But still trying to figure out what it is. If you have any suggestions, drop it in the comment section. I can honestly tell you, without a doubt, completely unbiased, because here's a better way of putting it. This was a collaboration unit. This we spent our money on. We spent $13,000 on this. Plus, I guess when everything was done, like $13,500 on this mower. No sponsorship, no discounts, anything. We actually probably paid extra because it was during COVID and no one had any in stock. So we bought the most premium mower that was available at the time from SCAG. And this is the second major issue we've had, and I would not be complaining. So you SCAG fans that are going to jump in here, I was a SCAG fan. I own a SCAG. I spent a lot of money, probably a lot more than a lot of people spend on their SCAG product. And it works great when it works great, but I have to be 100% unbiased and honest here that the Toro has had zero problems at all. Not one. Oh, hold on, let me show you the one issue. where is it? That screw broke off, came out or something. Don't know where it's at. I'll probably put another screw in there, but it's been missing now for about 100 hours. But this mower has 209 hours on it, 208.9 hours on it. This mower has, and I already showed you at the beginning, but I'll show you again, 55.9 hours on it. And the first major issue was a greasable spindle, so spindles that have to be greased, not being greased, seizing up the deck, and actually bending and breaking components inside that had to be replaced. This one has non-greasable aluminum spindles. So these are steel greasable spindles. These are non-greasable aluminum spindles. Not one spindle has gone out. We've never had one issue, and we've never had to put grease in them. So there's the first one. Second one, this one is now giving us some weird issues going on with whatever's causing it not to run properly. It might be the major like the actual electronic fuel injection system, the fuel pump, and not the low pressure one. This one has a carburetor. We've never had a single problem with it. 208.9 hours, 55.9 hours. And not one problem, and now we have a second problem. And again, that's where, as much as people might hate this if they are huge SCAG fans, commercial operators, and people who love the brand, I thought I would absolutely love this brand, but when it breaks down, it's super frustrating. Now, this is absolutely correlatable to people who buy RVs. You spend a lot of money, you expect a lot, and then when it fails or give you problems, it's really, really, really frustrating. The difference here is that I literally bought the most premium, or one of the most premium brands you could buy, and not a lower model of it, but the most premium, I think second to the top of the entire SCAG lineup. And this right here is designed to go over what I'm taking it over and to do more than probably what I'm doing with it, since a lot of companies, cities, municipalities, everybody buys this. And that's where things kind of get frustrated. This was a premium zero turn, premium price. So I get the folks who are going to watch this and say like, welcome to my world of, you know, RV living. And I get it because I own 2 RVs, and both of them are, you know, a perfect example of not the most premium, but more of a mid-entry level point for the fifth wheel and travel trailer community. And I also understand the difference between something like those and something like these. And if I were to go out and buy a living vehicle travel trailer, 300 and something grand for a travel trailer, I would expect it to be well above the performance characteristics, design, and engineering of anything I could spend $50,000 on. If I go out and buy a super nice, you know, Palomino Paz, $150,000 travel trailer, I would expect the components, the build, and all of that to be superior to that of a $50,000 travel trailer. This SCAG Cheetah 2 is the equivalent of a super high-end travel trailer that you do have higher expectations for because you paid more for it. But knowing what I know now, since I know I need 2 mowers, one as a backup, I would rather have 2 of these Toros over the SCAG, which costs about $6,000 more than this Toro commercial zero-turn mower. That's how interesting this conversation is to me, that you can pay a little less, but you're not getting an entry-level mower. This isn't by any means what you would just go to Lowe's and pick up. This is still a high-end mower, but I'm getting something that is built really, really well, and you might have to sometimes search for that. That's kind of the point of this as well. As frustrating as this problem is, there's a lot of folks out there who would say, well, why didn't you just get another Toro? But the reality of it is at the time I got what was available. I wanted the best, so I got the best. And looking back on it, I probably should have done a little bit more research and dug in a little bit deeper and picked a better one that could have even saved me some money. Anyways, I sure hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions or ideas on what you think this could be, let me know. I'm kind of determined to fix it myself now. I really don't want to go to a dealership and pay them for it if it's something I think I can handle myself. But again, you know, under 60 hours, it's kind of sad. But drop a comment below. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.